Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The damage, even more than 2 weeks later, is unreal. Still very evident. Today, Drone 12 capturing new video showing the devastation in Kerrville following those deadly July 4th floods.
While some of the water has receded, you can see the debris and the damaged tree limbs left behind.
We know recovery in this area will not come easy. There is so much to be done following the massive loss of life.
And state lawmakers have vowed to be heavily involved in that recovery process. The first day of the Texas legislative special session is now in the books, and it's already been a unique start.
It's a good way to put it. The original session called for bills like a THC ban, switch priorities to emergency management after the deadly Hill Country floods. The governor creating a special committee made up of legislators to address the floods.
Our Courtney Friedman has been in Austin at the Capitol all day long. And Courtney, we know this was not a day of decision making.
It wasn't. I was on the House floor earlier today, and it lasted all of 5 to 10 minutes. And that's because they want these committees to meet first. The Joint Committee meets on Wednesday, so the House will reconvene on Thursday. But I did today get to sit down with Representative Wes Verdell. Yes, he is on the Joint Committee, but he also lives right outside of Kerrville. This is his community, and it is very personal to him. And these are people that you know and care about. What does it feel like having this platform to do something about it?
It's you don't want to waste it. You don't want to screw up. So I owe it to the community to do all my diligence to learn everything I can about this.
What sticks out to you as the priority here?
Mainly cell phone service. So down in that area, there's almost no cell phone service. And so it was hard the morning of the 4th, trying to communicate with the camps and with residents. Like, there was almost no communication.
Verdell has talked with SpaceX about a device people would elect to have in their homes.
Basically having a warning system that's probably what we call a float switch that would indicate when the water comes up to a certain height, the float switch is activated, and it would communicate with Starlink, and this is all off of one single tower.
The other issue he has is finding emergency information online.
You have to go to multiple websites to get a picture of what's actually going on. And if there's a way to bring it all into one resource that a local official could look at and see everything, that would make a lot more sense.
As for sirens, Verdell worries even loud ones wouldn't reach everyone in rural areas of his district.
But it may have its place, near camp RV parks and all that. Maybe that would make sense where people are more likely to hear it.
I mean, this takes money. So I'm assuming you're prepared to ask for that.
I am, whatever's necessary. One is what's the proper role of using taxpayer money, in society, and I think emergency preparedness is an avenue that we could use that in.
Now, Representative Verdell has these ideas going in, but he needs to first listen to the first responders that are coming in on Wednesday, and also to the Hill Country residents that he will meet on Thursday of next week. And that is how he is going to make his decision and come out with his opinion on what needs to happen to keep his district safe. For now, we're at the Capitol in Austin. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Now, we've had lots of questions in the aftermath of the Hill Country flooding. 2 of those questions were answered today during a commissioner's court meeting in Kerrville.
A big topic is the dramatic drop in the amount of people reported missing after the flooding. That number was more than 150, but now it sits at just 3 people who are considered missing in Kerr County.
The reason for the discrepancy, officials say tourism is a major factor in that. Commissioner said today there was no way to get an accurate count of people who were visiting the Hill Country and then left because of the flooding.
So the number of people who are missing dropped because many of those people who were visiting have since been contacted. Another concern, especially for those impacted directly by the flood, was whether property taxes would increase in the area.
Appraisers gave the county a preliminary estimate of $200 million. $200 million lost in property value because of those floods. That will represent a loss in revenue for the county, but the assessor collector said it is too early to say how much that will be or how the county will try to make up that money.
And that is part of the reason why commissioners are considering their options. More clarification on property taxes also coming during today's meeting.
We did nothing as far as raising taxes on what might be around the corner. And that's going to be my approach on this disaster here. And so the people that started immediately saying that we were jumping to an 8% tax, that's a flat lie. Flat lie. Our tax assessor was charged with getting the no new revenue rate.
So commissioners said today that 8% tax hike is not coming, but they have yet to make a decision on whether a lower tax rate increase might be adopted.
And as we've reported, that decision could come in December when they're expected to finalize their budget. We also know there's another meeting happening tonight in Ingram. Our Avery Everett there now and has a preview.
The meeting just started minutes ago, and tonight Ingram is really discussing its way forward. There are multiple items about disaster relief on the agenda for City Council tonight, but the discussion we're following the closest is about emergency warning systems. So we've heard since the deadly Hill Country floods from Kendall County and Comal County leaders about the success of having sirens. And we've heard from at least one City Council member here who wants that to be a possibility in Ingram. So really, the options and the discussion is happening tonight. We'll have the full breakdown on the Night Beat.
Traffic time. Let's go to traffic authority cameras around town. And this is I-35 at San Marcos. We showed you this at 5 o'clock. They have a couple of lanes blocked for construction. It's the northbound lanes of I-35 as you head towards downtown. A couple of lanes blocked there, but you can see traffic is still moving.
We have learned that a man whose wife was found dead, wrapped in plastic inside their South Bexar County home, was an employee of a local school district. Floresville ISD confirmed that up until his arrest this weekend, 49-year-old Charles Bird worked in the maintenance department as a master plumber, but had no direct contact with students. An arrest affidavit says that Bird admitted to killing his wife, Angela, although he is only charged with tampering with evidence right now. That has to do with her body, which investigators found decomposing inside their home on Pleasanton Road.
I heard on the TV that possibly the body could have been there for a month. I said, oh my God, and we've been here all this time.
The affidavit says a relative of Bird smelled a bad odor at the home, then called the sheriff's office after Bird confessed to killing his wife. Investigators are now waiting on an autopsy to determine how she died. They say her body was wrapped in carpet, blankets, and plastic, all held together with ratchet straps.
The Uvalde School District set to decide on releasing records from the Robb Elementary shooting. This comes days after an appeals court ruled in favor of KSAT 12 and other news outlets who have sued for the release of those records. Our Danielle Ibarra in Uvalde with what to expect.
That school board meeting just got underway here in Uvalde. One of the first things that the board is going to do is head into closed session where they're expected to talk about that lawsuit. So that means we won't get to hear the discussion about their decision, but we will get to hear their decision after they come out of closed session. Now, we are expecting some of the family members of the Robb Elementary shooting victims to be here at the board meeting. And of course, we're going to continue to follow this meeting. You can watch it live right now on KSAT.com, and we're going to wrap everything up for you coming up on the Night Beat. In Uvalde, I'm Danielle Ibarra.
The number of veterans experiencing homelessness is down this year, along with the number of people who have been without a home for over a year and those dealing with disabilities. That is according to a point-in-time census done by the organization Close to Home.
However, according to their count, nearly half of people who are currently unsheltered reported that this was the first time experiencing homelessness.
People are falling into homelessness due to loss of a job. Inflation is making it challenging. Healthcare expenses, car expenses, all of these things can lead to an episode of homelessness. And so we need that safety net system to be strengthened.
The point-in-time count also found that domestic violence, a major driver of homelessness.
There is some hopeful news in all of this. The organization says the homeless response system they have in place now is working despite being under-resourced. Close to Home will have a new report coming out next year on how the city can prevent homelessness.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
Football season may be a few weeks away, but the work begins today.
Yeah, we're talking Dallas Cowboys training camp got underway today in Oxnard, California. And that's where we find our Larry Ramirez and Mary Rominger. Guys, we know you just got there today, but what have you been able to check out so far?
Well, so far we haven't checked out a whole lot because there's been no practices or anything like that, Steve, but we were able to take part in the Cowboys opening presser, or the State of the Cowboys address, as we like to call it. And one of the topics today, quarterback Dak Prescott. He is entering his 10th season in the NFL. He's 31 years old, and he's had some injuries throughout his career, including 2, if I'm not mistaken, that ended his season. So, new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, how does he plan to handle Dak? Like, how much work does he need to see him do, and how much work is he actually going to give him to do to try to keep him healthy? We're going to have more of that coming up. And Mary, you're going to be talking about Micah Parsons.
Yeah, surprisingly, the big story, not Dak Prescott, it's Micah Parsons, as ongoing contract negotiations continue to dominate the conversation here in Oxnard. Now, everyone trying to wrap their head around why it's taken so long for Parsons to get extended. A lot of questions were asked. Whether or not they were answered, you know how Jerry Jones is. You have to often read in between the lines, so we'll share what Jerry Jones had to say about Parsons' deal. Also interesting to hear about them demanding accountability out of Parsons.
Mary, thank you very much. Okay, we'll see you coming up later in sports. Back to you in the studio.
Larry, Mary, thank you. Still ahead on the news at 6. How long will it take for things to get back to normal following the Hill Country flooding? After the break, we're going to take you to the town of Sisterdale, where first responders are trying to get back some sense of normalcy. In Sisterdale, recovery efforts from the deadly flooding shifting into a new phase tonight.
After a little more than 2 weeks of intense operations, the first responder crews there are beginning to scale back, and the local fire department is transitioning back to normal duties.
Erica Hernandez explains how they are now managing cleanup and helping the Kendall County community help.
On July 4th, this was the Guadalupe River underneath Highway 1376 in Sisterdale. It eventually would go over the road at more than 34 feet. More than 2 weeks later, we see a peaceful side to the river.
Right now, it's hard to look at the river and not feel a little resentment for what happened here. And it's obviously not the river's fault, but just a reminder of the power of nature.
The past couple of weeks for Chief Brian Riley and his small crew at the Sisterdale Volunteer Fire Department have been anything but normal. But now operations are shifting. As
the recovery efforts start to close out and the cleanup comes in, cleanup is a challenge, right? There's a lot of debris. There's a lot of what will become fuel if it's not removed as things dry out and wildfire season comes.
Debris that is scattered for miles up along the river. Chief Riley says Kendall County is currently under a burn ban, and they are urging property owners not to burn debris piles.
The burn ban is in place to ensure that recovery efforts can complete without somebody inadvertently potentially destroying something that needed to be recovered.
While cleanup will take a while, they are also focused on making sure families affected are taken care of. The annual fundraiser scheduled for August 9th will still go on, but this time funds will be given back.
We didn't feel right asking the community for more for us, so we're turning that fundraiser into a benefit for flood relief and try to get some of this back to the families.
As the road to healing continues, this small department will be there to serve and help their community.
There's still a lot of work to do.
Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Help has been coming from all areas, and we are proud to say that Together for Texas campaign has now reached over $1 million raised, and we are not done yet. The fundraiser is still ongoing.
Yeah, thank you so much for your generosity. If you've given, all of the funds raised will go directly to on-the-ground efforts in flood-affected areas through the Salvation Army.
You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to learn how to donate. Let's take a look outside with live cam. Things still plenty green out there. We got some clouds that have really just been hanging around today, Adam.
Yeah, and they kept our temperature to 94 for the high. So nothing out of the ordinary for this time of year, and definitely not too hot by our July standards. So here are main weather headlines going forward. Our next chance of rain arrives on Friday, and even I think a slight chance into Saturday as well. We're not looking at anything significant, and it'd be the kind of rain that would be very unlikely to cause any flooding and really probably wouldn't even be problematic. Temperatures, we could actually hit 100 Wednesday and Thursday. We're forecasting 99, but you know, what's a degree amongst friends, right? It's just that benchmark. We've only had 3 triple-digit days so far this year. Okay, I want to talk about the tropics because I don't want there to be any confusion with the next system that's headed our way. It's been very quiet across the Atlantic basin. There's one little area right here just east of the Windward Islands where we could have a 10% chance of developing into the next tropical depression, tropical storm. Basically negligible right now. Our next system is closer to Florida and really over the Bahamas right now, and it's an upper level swirl. This isn't a tropical system, not like a tropical depression or a tropical cyclone. It's basically a little dip in the upper level flow that's causing just some rain around the Bahamas and will cause some rain over Florida, the Gulf, and then parts of Texas as well. Right now it's being blocked by the upper level high, the big blue H, over the western Gulf, influencing our weather and blocking this disturbance from moving in. But notice the door opens as that upper high moves northward, and the steering flow will push this disturbance into the Gulf over the next several days, and then near us by Friday into Saturday, and close enough to where we could get a few showers from it. Again, nothing significant expected from this. It's upper level support with some Gulf moisture or tropical moisture in nature, but not a tropical system. Some better rain chances and higher accumulations possible closer to and along the Gulf Coast. Around here, maybe we could have a quick half an inch in some neighborhoods, but that would be it. Actually, better chances in West Texas, on into the desert Southwest, Arizona and New Mexico. And actually, it is monsoon season out there, and this is typically when they see some of their shower activity. So around here, 30% chance Friday, 20% chance on Saturday. Sunday, 10% chance, and that may even be a little generous, honestly speaking. 95, actually, our high temperature today. That's exactly average. Notice the record of 102 set back in 1911. That just gives you an idea of the potential this time of year. But like I said before, we've had 3 triple-digit days so far this year, which pales in comparison to years past. And I'll show you that comparison coming up at 6:45. Right now we're at 93, dew point is 69. Now sometimes these clouds that are in place, these mid and high clouds, can make for beautiful sunrises and sunsets. So it'll be worth going outside around 8:40, 8:45 p.m. But I think it may be just a little too thick in this instance to give us a whole lot of color. But it's always worth a shot to take a peek. Temperatures right now mostly in the 90s, 97 Port SA and Stinson, Poteet 98, but you get into parts of the hill country and we're in the upper 80s. Bulverde, Bernie, and Comfort now at 88. But notice our temperatures falling down, 86 by 10 o'clock, midnight 82, and tomorrow's going to be very similar to today, just a couple of degrees warmer. 77 at sunrise, near 90 at noon, and then 97 for the high. A few degrees warmer because I think we'll get a little more sunshine than we had today. Not as much in terms of clouds overall. Tomorrow, Helotes 94, Stinson on the south side, you're making it up to 99 along with Pleasanton, Hondo 96 along with Sabinal. And then we get into Wednesday, Thursday, we're thinking 99. Wouldn't shock me if we were triple digits. And then mid-90s Friday into the upcoming weekend.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
All right. Let's go to Cowboys camp right now. And Larry, I have an idea for you. Instead of, like the Brady Bunch show, you could call it the Shoddy Bunch.
Shoddy Bunch.
Or the Jerry Bunch. You could have like the boxes with Micah and CD and Dak,
I can
the way
see
they
it.
became the Shoddy Bunch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're all looking left, right, up, down, all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
I like that idea, Spriester.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you what, one of the topics today during the Cowboys opening presser here at training camp is about Dak Prescott. He's 31 years old, have been injury prone over his career. So how does new head coach Brian Schottenheimer plan to work him during this training camp while also keeping in mind that he feels that they need a healthy Dak to win a Super Bowl? And Mary Rominger is here, and she's going to tackle the issue known as the Micah Parsons contract extension. Boy, I'll tell you what, it is the hot topic, and we got it coming up.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
That's right. It is time to go camping with KSAT. Good evening, everybody, and welcome live to Oxnard, California for Dallas Cowboys training camp. Now, earlier today, the team was behind me on the far field doing some light stretching, and they were also using the foam rollers, and that's because they are getting ready for their very first practice at camp, which will go down tomorrow. And of course, that's when things will really get going. First-year head coach Brian Schottenheimer is eager to get his first training camp underway. He said he missed the guys and that he's the luckiest man in the world to be here. His starting QB Dak Prescott is 31 years old and has dealt with injuries during his career, some of them the season-ending variety. So what is Schotty's philosophy when it comes to Dak and the work he needs to get out of him and the actual work that he will give him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, now that he's in the over 30 club, we're going to be smart with some of the things that we do with him. He is anti that. He wants to do as much as possible. Luckily, we have the trump card with him on that. But in all seriousness, Dak understands that, again, there's a smart way to train. We've got, two other quarterbacks we're really excited to evaluate. Joe Milton's a guy that we're really excited about. We want to see him play a bunch. And then, Will Greer's a guy that's been around. So, although Dak's not going to like it as much, he's very aware that we're going to be intelligent with what he does.
The over 30 club, how about that? So the hot topic today during the opening presser was all about the contract extension for star defender Micah Parsons. Now the Lion is here at camp, but he doesn't plan to practice until he gets his new deal. KSAT 12 Sports' Mary Rominger has more.
Hey, Larry. Yeah, as we know, Micah Parsons' contract negotiations with the Cowboys are still ongoing. And while the Joneses and Schottenheimer expressed that there is no level of concern that a deal will get done, the front office is still calling for accountability for a guy that is under contract this season.
If you're in that price range, when you're up there in that top 10%, so to speak, of the league, and that top quartile of your team, leadership is really big. And leadership exhibits himself when you're negotiating as well.
We're excited that he's here. And there's a lot of ways to get this thing done. But like we've said, we're committed to having him take that next step, not just as a player, but as a leader.
Now, as for why Parsons has yet to be extended, when he's on record recently saying if it were up to him, a deal would have been done last year, well, here's what Jerry Jones had to say in response.
Have you ever heard of any clubs committing to players and then they didn't pan out after they committed to them? We have.
And while you can understand the value in playing it safe, Jones hasn't always been that patient when it comes to contracts, signing Terrence Steele and Trayvon Diggs ahead of time. When he was asked about that, this was Jones's response.
Frankly, should we have waited on Diggs and Steele?
We know with Jones, you often have to read in between the lines. Here's what we know about Parsons. He will be reporting to camp. However, his level of participation really hinges upon whether or not a contract extension gets done. We'll send it back to you, Larry.
All right, thank you very much, Mary. And we have more Cowboys training camp coming up at 7, streaming on KSAT Sports Now. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Larry.
Still to come here on the news at 6, we know a new Missions ballpark is on the way, but how exactly is that going to be paid for? We're breaking it down in a KSAT Explains after the break. With all the conversation and questions about a new Spurs arena, it's easy to forget that a new Missions baseball stadium is coming to downtown San Antonio. Last week, SAISD agreed to sell the final piece of the puzzle to make that happen.
Yeah, the city and the county are paying for the new stadium, but not through a tax increase, at least not an increase in the tax rate.
So in this KSAT Explains, we break down where the money is coming from.
First of all, is it TERS or TIERS?
Tomato.
TERS stands for Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone.
The TERS is kind of the geographical area.
It's an area that local government identifies as needing improvement. Creating a TERS allows local taxing entities to use property tax dollars generated within that zone to pay for that improvement.
The goal in particular is economic development in areas that are unlikely to generate it themselves.
That's kind of the meat of what we're talking about.
The first step is creating a base value. It's the property tax value within the zone when the TERS is created, before any new development comes in.
When we're talking about the base value, we're talking about the property value at the start of the tax increment reinvestment zone.
So the county appraisal district will come out, they'll appraise the taxable value of the property in that area, and then that becomes the base value. That's the tax base.
As future development happens and hopefully that value increases, the amount of property tax dollars generated over that base value can be reinvested into the tax increment reinvestment zone.
Let's put some basic numbers in place.
For example, let's use a base value of $1 million. That means all the properties within that zone are valued at a combined $1 million when the TERS is created. Let's say the next year, the property tax value increases to $2 million. $1 million of that base value, goes back to the local taxing entities, like all other property taxes. The other $1 million can be reinvested into that zone, and a municipality and local leaders can decide what percentage of that amount they want to reinvest.
That can be anything from roads, parks, sewer, parking, any kind of public improvements.
Creating a TERS doesn't guarantee property values will increase.
It doesn't happen overnight, so it can take several years of these increases to actually amount to a significant amount.
Which is why public entities might turn to a private partnership to speed things up. It's what the city of San Antonio and Bexar County are doing to build a new downtown stadium for the Missions baseball team.
This is so unique. Weston Urban and the Missions will be holding the majority of the risk.
Weston Urban is the private developer pledging to pour money into new projects near the site chosen for the stadium, which would be at the corner of Kingsbury and North Flores Street. That's just east of the I-35 and I-10 interchange downtown. It's planned to be part of the San Pedro Creek project, which is within what the city calls the Houston Street TERS. It sits between I-35 and I-37. The Houston Street Zone is one of 9 TERS currently in the city. The Missions are a AA team, owned in part by the co-founders of Weston Urban. Major League Baseball said the Missions' current home, Wolf Stadium on the west side, where the team has played since 1994, needs major upgrades. And without them, the Missions can't stay in SA. And over the years, local leaders have again and again pitched bringing baseball downtown.
Weston Urban Development has committed to bring on approximately $550 million of development between now and 2029, and they will pay taxes on that $550 million.
That more than $500 million in investment is what's expected to drive up property values, which gives the city and the county money to fund the stadium.
We're taking the taxes that come from that development and that go into that tax increment fund, and we're using those taxes to support debt that's going to be used to construct the baseball stadium.
In a typical TERS, a private developer can be reimbursed by a city or county for publicly accessible things they create as part of their development. Let's say a developer builds a hotel and adds sewer lines and sidewalks. A city could reimburse a private company for that.
We're not doing that in the case of the baseball stadium. The developer is not getting any funding for any of their development, and they can't access it for public improvements.
But what happens if it's a swing and a miss? If Weston Urban falls short of their commitment on $550 million in development by 2029?
They are still required to pay the amount equal to the taxes they would have had paid on that development, because we need that to support the debt. And so in this case, it's not the developer that's getting increment to support their project. It's the developer committing to develop projects so it can facilitate tax increment necessary to support debt for a public facility, which is going to be a baseball stadium.
Money generated by future development will fund 80% of the cost for the new Mission Stadium, which is an estimated $160 million.
The other 20% will come from a roughly $34 million team contribution, a $1 million a year lease for the stadium, and a $2 ticket fee for fans. The Houston Street Tours is not new. It's been around since 1999, and money from it has helped add things like downtown lighting and improvements to places like Travis Park. According to the city, building a new baseball stadium won't take away from other improvement needs in the area. Only money generated by that new Weston urban development will go toward the stadium.
Is the city going to have to look at property by property to see the increase in value to say, okay, this increase came from the Weston urban development, as opposed to in another section of the Houston Street Tours, there was an increase there, but we know that it wasn't from that new development?
Absolutely.
The Houston Street Tours is being expanded to accommodate the stadium project. In fact, it's taking area from another reinvestment zone that's right next to it, the West Side Tours. But the city says that zone won't lose out on funding.
Currently, the city only contributes about 90% of its tax increment to the West Side Tours. We're going to increase that to 100%, and then we're also going to extend the West Side Tours.
State statute allows local taxing entities to create these reinvestment zones.
We do have a registry of all agreements, but we don't approve of them.
And there's no penalty for a city or county if the plan fails to raise property values. 2025 will be the base year for the reinvestment calculations to cover the new baseball stadium. The life of that zone will be extended through 2054, meaning roughly 30 years of property tax growth the city and the county hope for could help foot the stadium bill. Stadium construction is expected to be complete by 2029. As for the private development that is key to this local field of dreams.
Planning, construction, all of that is still to come, but
Absolutely.
we have Weston Urban's commitment,
yes,
signed on the dotted line that this is going to happen.
Yes.
A lot going on in the sports world here in San Antonio.
Sports building world.
Yeah, exactly. Sports development. Just as a reminder, you can watch all of our episodes of KSAT Explains, including that one, right now on KSAT Plus.
I'm looking forward to what the new Mission Stadium will look like.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet.
Nope, we haven't seen it.
Hopefully any day now. All right, still ahead on the news at 6. We're getting new information every day about the deadly July 4th flooding in the Hill Country. Our KSAT Investigates team discovered more about the calls made to 911 that morning, July 4th. After the break, we'll show you what they found.
We're learning more about how the morning of July 4th played out along the Guadalupe River in Kerr County. This morning, the KSAT Investigates team received the log of calls made to 911 that day.
The dispatchers first started to receive calls from areas along Highway 39 in Hunt around 3:30 that morning. One of the first callers, Paula Zunker, the wife of Tivy soccer coach Reese Zunker. The couple, along with their 2 children, swept away in those floods.
In all, Kerr County dispatchers received more than 370 calls that day. The logs show how the calls progressed from needing help to needing welfare checks. This weekend, Kerr County officials reduced the number of people still missing from 97 to 3.
All right, let's go outside right now, and 94 the high today. 95 the high today, Adam says. What's to come in the days ahead? Are we going to hit triple digits? Adam's forecast coming up.
All right, Adam, do I have this right that the last 100-degree day, was that in May?
Yeah. I know.
That's wild.
It is, especially by our standards over the past several summers, right? Where we just start tallying up the triple-digit days. So far this year, we have 3 triple-digit days. Remember, they came in early May, and let's think back, too. When we had them, everybody was saying, well, what does this mean for the summer? Does this mean it's going to be ridiculous? And we said, no, it's so early, that means, and we said, no, there's no connection. It has no bearing on what the summer will be. So it's a good example of how there's no correlation between early heat and triple digits in early May and what summer brings you. We've had 3 so far this year, and that was all in early May. By this time last year, we had 12 triple-digit days. By this time in 2023, 27. And by this time in 2022, 42 triple-digit days. And you look at July in general for the high temperatures, We've had one day that was more than 2 degrees above average, and that was the 17th. That was last Thursday. And look at all these blue days indicating the afternoon high temperature below average. And the general temperature, the average temperature overall for the month is about a half a degree below average. Now, going forward, we're going to be a little above average. The average high 95, 97 tomorrow, 99 Wednesday and Thursday. Wouldn't surprise me if we hit 100 degrees those days. It could very well happen. Now, here's our big pattern, the overall pattern. Upper level high, big blue H, medium blue H. This isn't as strong of one. It's still influencing our weather. It's over the western Gulf. But what we're watching is this upper level swirl over the Bahamas, not causing much in terms of rain and showers and storms, but it will cause some areas of rain moving over Florida and then across the Gulf because the upper level high moving away from us, and that opens the door for this weak disturbance to move in by the end of the work week, Friday and even on into Saturday. Even then, it's not looking very significant and very strong. It's just that next little ripple in the upper level flow that's going to have some moisture and a lift to generate some rain, which is what we don't have. We don't have all the ingredients right now. Even then, the overall potential of accumulation on the lower end, so we're not expecting anything problematic. And as is often the case with these, some higher chances and maybe some higher accumulations along the Gulf Coast. More notably, West Texas, which is in an extreme and exceptional drought, has some decent rainfall opportunities in the days ahead. You look at the drought monitor, it's really just San Antonio to Marfa to El Paso, where we have the worst drought. Highway 90 from here to Del Rio, up into other parts of western Valverde County, and then into far west Texas, Marfa, and over to El Paso. That's where the worst drought is. Only about a quarter of the state is considered in drought. So 30% chance Friday, 20% chance on Saturday. Again, nothing significant from that at this time. Right now we're at 93. By 10 o'clock, we're at 86, midnight down to 82 degrees. Then we start the day tomorrow in the mid to upper 70s, 77 here in town, near 90 at noon, then 97 for the high. So just a few degrees warmer than what we had today because we'll have more breaks in the clouds. The clouds have been pretty stubborn the past few days. Actually, yesterday, the high was 89 because of the cloud cover, right? So 6 degrees below average. Where tomorrow, near to slightly above average. That's 93 Bernie, 97 Seguin, 96 in Devine and Kerrville, 92 the high temperature. Other than that slight rain chance Friday into Saturday, we're still looking dry, but that's more typical of July weather.
You know what? Just to have chances in July is usually a big thing.
It is.
Not this July, but usually
You're right.
in July.
For sure. Thank you, Adam. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on ABC Prime Time. At 7 o'clock, it is Bachelor in Paradise. Then at 9, Celebrity Family Feud, followed by The Night Beat at 10.
All right, coming up at 7 o'clock tonight, KSAT Sports Now. Nick Manta's hosting it because Larry and Mary are in Cowboys camp, and yes, they will be reporting.
They will.
From Cowboys camp.
There is a lot to report on as well. We heard from Jerry Jones and all the brass that were there for Cowboys, for the state of the Cowboys, that introductory press conference where we get an idea as to how things are going. We heard from Schottenheimer for the first time. You have a great name for everybody.
The Shoddy Bunch.
The Shoddy Bunch.
Yeah.
They seem like they would get well together. They get a good group together, especially coming into this season. We got Dak Prescott. They talked about whether or not, that health of him coming into this year. Micah Parsons, that contract extension, why that hasn't happened yet, and a little bit of some tense attitude from Jerry Jones.
Kind of seemed like Jerry had some things he wanted to say before he got there. He called out Diggs.
Right.
Called out Micah.
Right.
Called out Dak.
Yeah.
Basically.
And if you're going to do that if they have a good enough relationship where he feels comfortable to do that, then that's one thing. But it was a little interesting to do that. Mary Rominger and Larry Ramirez will both give you all the details on that coming up in KSAT Sports Now, plus a weekend recap. We have a bunch of great stuff coming up on this show.
Of course you do. You always do. KSAT Sports Now comes your way after the 6 o'clock news, online, KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, all the places you stream KSAT Stream KSAT Sports Now at 7. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
Do you have a favorite restaurant or a favorite hairstylist? SA Picks is back, and we want to know who you think are the top businesses in the city. There are more than 90 categories to vote on. Just scan the QR code on your screen. You can vote for each category once a day, and you have until August 1st to vote. The finalists will be announced on August 19th, and then there'll be another round of voting from August 20th through September 12th to determine the big winners. We'll announce the winners in late September, so cast your vote now for your favorite business to be